Single malt. How you doing? Wow, this is kind of a follow-up from a review I did a little while ago now called Springbank 10-year-old. Now, this is the Hazelburn. This is actually distilled at the Springbank distillery. Hazelburn was its own distillery in the Campbelltown region of Scotland, which is pretty much the Isle of Mull, or sorry, the Mull of Kintyre. Um, and this whiskey is distilled at the same distillery but made in a different way. Now, if you're very familiar with the geography of Scotland, you'll know that Mull lies sort of halfway between Glasgow and the northern tip of Ireland. So a lot of Irish migrants that came over to the UK came through this part of the world, and they have a different desire or different method in distilling their whiskey. They distill it 3 times, whereas the Scots managed to distill it only twice. Now, I did explain how Springbank differs from Hazelburn. There's a couple of very key differences. They're made at the same distillery. The first is with the peat. Now, Springbank is, they actually dry their own peat at the distillery, which is unusual, and it's wonderful that they keep all the process within the distillery. So Springbank, when they're making Springbank, they actually use peated barley, and hence the whiskey has some peat characters. Now, Hazelburn is proud of having no peat in it, so it's a very clean whiskey. We're really just tasting the malt here. So there's the first distinction. A second key distinction is that Hazelburn is triple distilled, 1, 2, 3 times, whereas we know that the Springbank is 2.8 times. What? So just to quickly go over what 2.8 times distillation means, you have 3 stills, okay? The first still goes to the second still, and the second still goes to the third still. With Springbank, they actually take 20% of the first still, and it misses that second still and goes straight to the third still. So that 20% only gets 2 distillations, the first still and the second still, whereas 80% goes from 1 to 2 to 3. So that's why it's 2.8%. Hazelburn's different. It goes 1 to 2, and all of 2 goes to 3. All of 1 goes to 2, all of 2 goes to 3. So it's 3 times triple distilled. And distilling is all about taking stuff out. And what you want to take out are the feints and the foreshots, and they're the unpleasant flavours, and in the case of methanol, the dangerous things that we need to remove when we're distilling. So doing it 3 times is removing a lot more stuff, and when you remove, you take out a lot of undesirable things, and that's why distillation over the years has become such a craft, because it's about leaving all the good flavours in and taking all the bad flavours and dangerous things out. So triple distillation narrows the cut, and you get a very pure whiskey. So Hazelburn has no peat to disguise the flavour of the malt, and it has a very, very narrow cut of distillation. So I haven't tried this whiskey, but from the research I've done, I'm expecting it to be a very pure whiskey, and then it's aged in. I've been told sherry butts. I've also read that it's been aged in a variety of different European oak. We'll taste it and we'll see what flavours we get. That'll give us some indication of the oak. It does have a bronziness, which would indicate sherry cask, but it's not just bronze. It's kind of a funny, almost a greeny tinge to it. So who knows? Probably some brandy casks or cognac casks. Could be anything. Anyway, we'll taste it and we'll see. So let's do it. Let's taste it. What's it like? I can't wait. I love the Springbank. If you'll remember, I found that whiskey incredibly intense, and I think that that first cut from the first to the third, just that 20% of extra flavour that came through really blew my mind. So I don't know what to expect from this. I'm expecting it to be clean, but after Springbank, who knows? It could be anything. I can't. Oh, straight away, jumps out of the bottle. I can smell it now. A really rich, sort of banana-y, vanilla-y kind of banana split. Would that be a weird thing to say? Because it has that kind of vanilla ice cream and banana banana smell. I haven't even put my nose in the glass, and it's just that present. Wow, this is a really lifted, volatile whiskey. It is 46%, no chill filter, no caramel. So it's what you see is what you get. No disguises in this baby. Look. Oh, wow, there's just so much to say. Okay, first of all, there was a really beautiful aromatic nose on the taste. Lots of hazelnuts, uh, kind of a grappa, maybe grappa. Yeah, all sorts of really lovely aromatics. Almond nut, um, hazelnuts, really nice. The flavour on the palate is initially really strong, and I got that sense that I did with Springbank of, whoa, here it comes, this is a monster. And then it just smooths out and finishes really elegantly. And there's some follow-up flavours, and I'm just trying to put I think it's coconut shavings, like desiccated coconut, that comes through as a secondary flavour. And that's a really unusual flavour to get in whiskey. That's beautiful. Oh, yum. Oh, this is just really good. Um, it's rich and delicate at the same time. It's got power, but it's also subtle. This is a really hard whiskey to track down. It's one of the rare whiskies. It's not made in huge quantities. It doesn't have peat, but it's got oodles of flavour. Lots in there for everybody. I think this is one you've got to have in your collection to show people. And show people that contrast between Springbank and Hazelburn. If you've got any Springbank left, it'd be really interesting to have them side by side and see the difference. So give it a go. You won't be disappointed by this. I know it costs a little more, but it's worth it.